30.
All right, we're gonna put a 3-bet here with our hand. It's a little wide, but you know, we're gonna get in there after Matt's cutoff open. So race.
100.
So he's going to open pretty wide from the cutoff. And we know that Mr. Trey Mommy likes to play a bunch of hands. So we're going to go for a cold 4 here and hide my excitement. We're going to go, I think we're going to go like 375, the same thing we did last time we were out of position. Actually, no, yeah, we're out of position. So we can just go 375 again. First hand right off break, huh?
375.
Huh. What the hell now? Well, nice welcome back into this new orbit here. Huh. Alright, so, raise 3-bet, 4-bet, and now we're sitting with jacks and 5-betting. I never really 5-bet jacks before, and, now, do we just like get it in? I have 1800, 180 bigs, and we got 375. Out of position. It's a pretty large 4-bet over Trevor's 3-bet. Wow, what the hell is happening? What I have noticed is that Trevor's 3-betting size has usually been like 4 or 5x, pretty large, but now he's going 3x. Maybe it's just because he's in position against the cutoff, but wow. I really don't have much of a decision here. If someone has an overpair, so be it. But there's no real, cold calling a 4-bet just seems really bad. And I think we're just gonna rip it in. And if we get stacked, we get stacked. So, we'll do it. All in.
All in.
All right, well, obviously I stepped out of line at the wrong time. I think I just made somebody a lot of chips here. But obviously I can't continue in any sort of fashion. I would have been folding at any of these raises, and to all of them I'm still folding.
That didn't go according to plan.
It's not great.
You guys set up the deck on break?
I had it. I had it all.
All of that, or?
Ace 4?
No. I mean, I had you beat on that board.
It would be hard not to have me beat on that board.
Good hand.
All I can say is it's good to be Landon.
This is how I moved up in stakes so fast.
Well, that seems easy.
Yeah.
In a normal game, I think it's a fold, given the dynamics, because normally people don't actually 4-bet light. In that specific game, in that specific formation, given the last 3 people to act did something, it makes it a little bit trickier. But when you think about it, like, the hands that are going to call my 5-bet shove have me absolutely crushed, or we're flipping, it's just ace king. So in that scenario, I'm probably, in the hands that call me, my equity is like 35% or something like horrifically low. And the only hands that I really fold out is ace queen, 9s, 8s, 7s, 10s. And I have 3 other people to kind of like battle against and get through. So it might be a fold. I could have talked myself into it if I knew what I know now, but that's another learning experience.
Don't have to say too much here. The last hand was obviously just everybody running into huge hands. This is still going to be an open, still going to be using the same sizing.
30.
All right, well, small blind here facing a, what is it, +1 hijack open. This is probably gonna be an easy defend. 3-betting this probably gets us into trouble, so, I mean, out of position, it kind of sucks, but we'll just keep the pot manageable.
Call.
I definitely don't think we can call, but can definitely squeeze, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go 6x. So I'm going to go 180.
180.
What's the size?
180.
All right, so this is sort of precarious. We're not particularly deep here, and although my hand could function a couple different ways, being in the middle and with a pretty high potential, I think, to play a 3-way pot if I continue through a call here. Kind of like a 4-bet or folding in this spot, and I don't think my hand is that great to do it with. I think suited, we could definitely call here, but offsuit, I'm just gonna kind of lean a little tight and fold. I think 1 pip up, I would probably also call or 4-bet, but we're gonna fold this one.
All right, well, I feel like I flatted for the same reasons why I might be folding here, just because playing in the small blind just really sucks out of position, especially with this hand. Really don't love folding these suited Broadway cards, but it's a really large 3-bet, and that's just gonna make our life more easy if we fold this than play a pot post.
All right, same old story. This hand's gonna be good enough to open, playing 6 max here under the gun. Gonna use the same size. Not much else to say.
30.
All right, this hand is going to be probably a 3-bet, even though it is the, I mean, I historically have given the under the gun opener a much tighter range and a lot more respect, but so let's just start amping up the aggression. We're in position, and this hand can play decent post, I guess. 100?
100.
All right, so Rampage, Ethan here's been showing a willingness to 3-bet a fair bit. He's probably got the widest 3-bet range if I had to guess from the action that we've seen so far. I've also now folded several hands to re-raises, and this sizing coming down also makes me more inclined to call with a hand like this. So I'm just gonna call. I don't think there's much need to 4-bet.
Check.
I think this is just the board texture we're gonna continue with. We are facing an under the gun opening range, and I expected him to call very often. Thought I had the queen of spades, I don't. But I think we're just gonna c-bet here. Maybe, might be ambitious to get some of his stronger ace X's to fold, but right now, we're just gonna continue the story of having a strong hand, so that 1/3 pot, that will be 70.
70.
All right, so obviously this is a board we will never fold on. But when we look at the types of hands that we can have here and the hands that are in Ethan's range, I don't think we really have a check raise range for value here. I don't think I find my way into this pot with a deuce, except for maybe ace deuce suited. And besides, like, you know, pocket eights, I don't have anything like mega strong. The hands I could maybe think about check raising in certain dynamics would be like the small overpairs, but I don't think I'm realistically going to do that on a board like this. So therefore, I'm not going to choose to check raise, even though my hand has tons of equity and can sort of force the issue here. I think it's just a board where I don't really check raise. So I'm going to just call, and then there's potential on some runouts to kind of get frisky and raise, but for the most part, like I'm just calling down with ace high. It's gonna be good sometimes, and I can obviously get there. So obviously this is an interesting card. It tends to hit the pre-flop aggressor a bit harder than it does me. He'll have better kickers in range since I did not 4-bet and he's uncapped at ace king ace queen, whereas I'm usually capped probably below that. Maybe I can have offsuit ace queen. That being said, we both have a lot of ace x in range, so I don't think there's any real desire to lead this card ever. So just gonna stick with the plan, and now we have a lot more showdown value to go with it. So we'll be hard pressed to find folds probably anywhere in this hand now.
Check.
So seemingly probably what on the surface level, probably a really great turn card for us to keep barreling on. Issue is that hands and ranges that I'm putting him on, probably a mix of, the issue is that he just has a lot more combos of suited aces and probably spades here, that he's forced to call a turn bet, but I think we find out and get more information when we fire out another turn bet here in C. But if we fire out and he calls, we're probably gonna have to shut down river, because I think we're not really gonna get on to fold if he calls this turn. So it's a decision point. See what kind of holdings he has. Maybe hands like 9s, 10s, jacks, or some 8-9 suited sometimes. They can call flop, but this is just not a card that we can check through to continue our story here. So 340 in the middle, let's do 255, go from there.
255.
Is that 255? Spot's 355, he bets 255, sizing up here. Not too shocking to see a size like this, especially when we are so deep. Unclear if he's setting up for a river jam, but we still have a hand way too strong to fold. As we come to some rivers where we brick, we can maybe start to play around with the idea of folding, but I think that's going to be pretty tough based on what I know about Ethan. I think he's going to find some decent frequency of blasting off here. So for this street, for sure, very easy call. So obviously this card is great for us. The only thing I'm trying to figure out is if it ever makes sense to lead here, but I don't really think so. I think his strong top pairs are still going to feel comfortable enough to keep betting. He'll have some hands that can barrel off here as bluffs that we stop if we lead. And if he, is going to have a hand that is super nutted, like it's always going in anyway. Hands like king, queen of spades, king, jack of spades, etc. So just going to stick with the plan here and check.
Check.
All right, he called turn, which really sucks for us. And we have no blockers to any spades, so certainly can blast off since I'm never good here with king high, but also it seems like a punt. So we're just gonna give up, let him have it, and lose this one.
Check.
You're good at turning aces. And flopping aces.
That was enough flush, right?
Yeah.
All of it.
And everything.
Easy open to the gun of it.
30.
So this is a little bit loose, but in a no-rake environment, and he's probably opening a little bit too wide, it's going to be fine. And I'm not really going to get that much combat from the people behind me, as well as my range looks extremely strong, 3-betting and under the gun range. So this is going to be shot up to about 100, and folding to a 4-bet. 100.
100.
All right, we're just getting a lot of playable hands here right now, but offsuit variety of this hand, not ideal. I can't say I've ever 4-bet with this hand, but I don't think I'm gonna do that now. Facing on again open, then +1 3-bets that. It's just too weak, and I think we're just gonna be folding, although I hate folding.
$100?
Yep.
It's a tighter range situation where I won't have much of a 4-bet range. So, and we're a little bit deeper also. So I'll just be calling and playing post flop.
So yeah, this is a really good board for our range, a really good board for our hand. And in a spot like this on a rainbow board, if you look at our suits, we have a heart and a spade, so we do block some of his continues with backdoor hands like ace X of hearts and king X of spades. So in this spot, we're mostly going to bet really small with our entire range and expect a bunch of folds. And then depending on what the turn is, I'm probably mostly going to check to protect my range overall and be able to bluff catch on rivers. But I expect him to fold a lot here, so we're just going to go pretty small. There's about 215 in the pot. I think we're just going to go 70.
Obviously one of the worst flops for my hand. Even most of his 3-bet bluffs in this spot are going to be ace X type hands. He's going to occasionally have some suited connectors here that are going to be good. He's just going to be betting 100% of his range on this board. It's going to be pretty favorable to him. I will have ace king that I flat bet, and then obviously some other ace X hands to continue with. So I think I'm actually just going to fold here, even though I think a lot of his suited connector bluffs are often just going to continue on turn. I'm just not going to be able to continue on this board with my hand very often, so I'm just going to let it go now.
Aces?
Huh?
Aces?
Ace 4. No, sorry, ace 10. Oh, so one ace. A little loose, but.
I had queens.
Really? Connor, you should have told him to put a queen out
I
there.
know. Should just peeled the queen.
This was a really interesting spot because Landon had played really tight so far, like at least, and he showed down all of his hands. He had premiums like every hand. So, obviously you could be setting that up. Like, I'm just going to show my premiums here since I have them. But he had played pretty straightforward. Now, I had opened under the gun, which I had been opening a lot in that position. So that would be the one thing that would make me want to 4-bet that spot. Generally speaking, these ranges are going to be pretty tight when I'm opening here and then Landon's 3-betting next to act. We were also 300 big blinds deep, I think. And what happens is in these spots, I didn't anticipate him having many 3-bet folds. So what ends up happening is we build a pot where I don't have too many 4-bet bluffs, and it becomes difficult for me to navigate on a ton of different board textures. And the other thing is I felt like when he does flat my 4-bet, it doesn't mean anything because he's still going to have his entire range to flat 4-bet. I don't think he's going to have any 5-bets. So he's going to have aces, he's going to have kings, he's going to have ace king, he's going to have all these other hands. So me 4-betting doesn't really accomplish much aside from build a bigger pot against, maybe some of his weaker hands. If it were different positions, there would be for sure a 4-bet, in positions where ranges are wider. This is just going to be a tighter range situation. And to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised to see him show me ace 10 actually in the spot.
All right. Suited wheel aces are probably going to be an open here. Although under the gun, like I said, still a little wide. This is at least more playable than my other ones.
30.
Okay, so this is pretty interesting. And technically, this is mostly going to be a 3-bet. But in a spot like this deep, this hand actually plays calls here in the big blind a little bit. And I know it seems kind of crazy to do that, but yeah, we're gonna do that here because it gets in there a little bit. So we'll play this line.
All right. I think big blind calling ranges here are going to be wide here. And here with bottom pair, I feel like we can go fairly thin just to protect it. It seems, at least in my head right now, it seems 50-50 whether we should be protecting bottom pair here or just check back. But I'm always in the mood to put in more money in the pot. So let's go do that. With 16 in the middle, we'll do 25.
25.
So he bets roughly half pot, which is actually a pretty 25 into about 65. So yeah, almost half pot, a little bit less. So it's gonna be a fine bet on this board. It's pretty connected. I have hands that can connect. I have some two pairs that are pretty obscure where he doesn't really have them. He has the sets in full where I'm mostly going to be 3-betting jacks, but I am going to be calling from the big line here just a small amount of the time. This obviously isn't one of those times, but our hand just has enough inherent showdown value as well as turns pretty well because hands that he's going to barrel, like turns and rivers he's going to barrel on, are going to be hands that most likely give us the best hand and allow him to continue bluffing. So we're going to call here with that in mind. So this turn is pretty good for us, as in we're going to be calling with our offsuit and suited combos of 6-7. And we could think about leading here, but not with this combo. And I would want to have hands that block straights and not this one. But just something to think about. Go ahead, check.
All right, well, we see like an okay turn, I guess, but I don't think it's a turn we can barrel on for 2 streets of value, even if I don't even know if we're playing for value anymore, but let's say we are. Pretty ambitious to bet turn for value here instead of turning my hand into a bluff. He just has, I mean, since he called big blind, he just has a lot of hands in his range that, I don't know, we can eliminate Jack 8 because I feel like he's going to be raising that with top 2 pair, but just so many hands, like any suited 8, suited Jack that are reasonable will be there, and I think they'll be calling here. So we're just gonna check back. We might have barreled on any diamond turn, but obviously that's not the case here. So we'll check back and play a river.
Okay, this turn, well, this river's fine for us. He's mostly going to be barreling his queen 10s on the turn, just because they have a gutter and overcard and generates folds from ace high hands. But in this spot, our hand specifically is going to be a pretty easy check fold, depending on the size he chooses, just because I have a lot of one pair hands that can profitably defend versus his bet check bet bluffs. And we also still beat hands that he has like ace high, like ace 10 and ace queen, which is a very real portion of his overall range. So we're just going to check here and probably lose if he bets, and if he checks back, win a small percentage of the time, but that's just enough. We definitely can't bluff a hand this strong, because when you start trying to bluff hands like ace high here, especially like the nut kicker, you're basically trying to get your opponent to fold pairs, and that's not going to happen very much in this spot. So we're just going to check.
All right, pretty standard, just checking back with bottom pair, or essentially bottom pair.
Single raise pot, right?
Low frequency call.
Just what you rolled a 5% in your head or something?
No, it was more like the spot appeared, so I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Just wondering.
Oh yeah. Gotta keep these kids on their toes.
Kids. Listen to this guy. Are you like 10 years younger than everybody here?
Can you 3-bet free?
No, I call big blind.
Oh.
It's spicy.
Marley. Oh.
For some reason. All right, so we were just talking about the skinny, so I don't really see how I'm not gonna open it, suited and everything. We're gonna do it and hope that the 3 players behind don't end up with the cold 3, 4, and 5 this time. Yes! You're just talking about this hand.
Is that one of those spots where you had a light open? Yeah, you had a light open, it gets through, you just win.
Yeah. This feels really good.
Oh yeah.
Way better than any other hand I won today.
Definitely on the border here, but been fairly inactive, so I'm gonna open it up.
With this hand, I'm going to be flatting here, similar to the way I flatted 4s earlier. It's going to make up a large part of my flatting range is these pocket pairs and some of these suited broadways versus another gun open, as well as suited aces. So I'm just going to flat.
All right, with Trevor calling this, I think we have a playable enough hand, although out of position. We'll see a flop.
Definitely not gonna bet with this hand 4 ways. Just going to basically check and evaluate, most likely fold.
So good flop from my hand, obviously, flop top pair, and backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. They checked me, and I'm just gonna be betting here. I'm gonna bet a little bit larger with the board texture as it is, and the fact that I'm not gonna be betting super wide in this spot, so I'm going to bet 80.
Action checks around him. We actually have a piece of this, which is, I guess, okay. I feel like Trevor is very incentivized to maybe take down the pot here with a pretty large bet. Issue with this hand that we always play is that we're not really trying to hit pairs because having a lot of kicker issues, he can really do this with really any 10, I feel like, as well, for value that beats me. Issue is like, we're out of position and then we have 2 other players left behind. We're in a tough spot to play turns and rivers. I feel like initially I really wanted to call, but now I'm just talking myself out of it as I talk about this more, thinking about folding, because I mean, we're just gonna run into a bunch of issues when we don't really have a plan for turns and rivers. And if we take this multi-way, how often is our hand good here? How often is our 8 kicker good up against like only value? I guess like semi bluffs would be like king, queen off, and you can definitely have queen 10 off, king 10 off, even 10-9 off could do this, but it's still really large sizing. Yeah, now I'm just battling back and forth about whether I should be folding or calling this, and position definitely matters right now. That's incentivizing me to fold, but we still do have Marle behind, who's going to be, I don't know how often she's going to connect with this board here. Well, we're just going to fold. All right, we made the decision. We're folding.
No hero calling with this hand. Gotta let it go.
Do we all have the same hand, or? What? Do we all have the same hand?
No. I don't know.
I had a small pair.
I had 7-6 of hearts.
I think I made a nit fold.
Huh?
I think I made a nitty fold.
You had a 10?
I had a 10, yeah. I don't know.
Tough spot, 2 people behind you.
I was like, ah.
I would have called his ass.
Should have.